Hey, it's BklynTye at BklynTye NYC. What's the word? Hey, it's BklynTye, and you're tuned in to What's the Word podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And to some, I'll say welcome back. This is episode 1 of season 2, and I appreciate you all for tuning in. If you've rocked with me and supported me in season 1 by sharing episodes, telling a friend to tell a friend, buying my merch, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for following my motto of spread love is the BklynTye way. If this is your first time tuning in, where have you been? But like I always say, you're here now, so better late than never. Be sure to check out season 1, which has 7 dope episodes, as well as my intro episode where I tell you who I am and what my goals are for my podcast. So check that out. Be sure to follow me on social media at BklynTye NYC, and that's BklynTye NYC, and my website, which is www.BklynTyeNYC.com. And again, that's BklynTyeNYC.com. Subscribe to my newsletter so you never miss an episode. It's also where my blogs dwell because I am also a blogger. So you can check out some of my blogs too. Shop my merch. You can go to the website, BklynTyeNYC.com. Just click on the drop-down box and that'll give you the option to select shop, and then you can purchase some merch. So this season, I'll be bringing more episodes with interviews and conversations with some dope-ass people like creatives, authors, poets, DJs. I'll also be letting you know about events and things that are going on in your surrounding areas. I'm bringing you what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what I'm listening to, and some people I think you should know. We'll also definitely get into some of today's news and current events. And so, let's get started. On today's show, I'm so excited to bring you my sister, Steph Love. She and I have been friends for going on about 10 years or so now. We got to chop it up recently, so stay tuned to hear who she is and what she has coming up and going on. But before we get into that, let's go into Ty Talks.
Yo, it's your boy King Spills BK, and you're tuned in to What's the Word podcast with my girl BklynTye.
So in today's Ty Talks news, I just wanted to catch y'all up on my life since last season, or last episode, I should say. I've moved from New York back to Virginia. And y'all, this has to be like my 5th time. Yeah, maybe in my lifetime, about my 5th time that I've moved back between New York and VA. But this time it's for happier reasons. Stay tuned for my book in the future to hear the bad reasons why I had to come back and forth. But, that's another topic for another day. I mentioned in episode 7, which was my last episode in season 1, that I did get a huge promotion at work and basically moved to Virginia, relocated from my Brooklyn location to now the VA location, but I'm in a different position, a higher position than where I was before. I'm loving the responsibilities. My coworkers at this store are amazing. They're like, extended family, and they're most of them I'm older than. So I get to still play the mommy role because I love schooling people and kids to new things that they should be knowing about or doing in life, or just things that they may have never thought about that, I like to kind of boost their ears on something to think about and consider when it comes to things happening in this world and just in life in general. So they're dope. I'm also glad to be back in Virginia because I get to be closer to my favorite auntie, Mona, who was my dad's sister. Also, I get to be with my nieces and nephews. So my sisters in New York, they don't have any kids, but my sister here has 5. So, you know, I get to play the auntie role. I've been like in the last few weeks been buying auntie shirts or like meme shirts that have auntie related things on them so that when I'm out with them, you know, I could rock the shirt and just be like, you know, a cool auntie, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, you know, I'm from Brooklyn, so, you know, we're good any and everywhere. So I get to maneuver back and forth between Virginia and New York. Just like when I was in New York, I was between New York and VA. So nothing's really going to change. Mostly just my legal state of residence, I should say. So anyway, y'all can just try to keep up with me because I do be like, I move quick, I move fast. So anyway, I haven't lived in Virginia since 2012. So it's been about 10 years. My oldest daughter never left. When I went back with my younger kids, she stayed here, but I'm glad to be back with her. She just got married in June. So I officially have a new son, which I love to death. The wedding was off the hook, over 200 guests. Like literally we invited like 100 on his side, 100 on our side. And of course, you know, over 200 because you know how Black people do. I bartended, so I had everybody on tilt, making it a very extra special lituation. We had people from Virginia, my family in New York, South Carolina, Texas, New Jersey, Florida. Like between me and his family, like we just had Virginia Beach was on lock. Yeah, it was a very safe and eventful night, to say the least. I'm very happy that everything, you know, it took a whole year to plan this wedding, and I never want to do it again, if I do say so myself. Not even the fact of the money that was spent, because, you know, we had a lot of hands on deck, so it wasn't a lot of money spent from one person. Like, we just balanced it all out, which is why it was able to be that much better. Plus, our families are huge. Everybody's hands were in it. So it made for a very good event, especially when mostly, you know, you mainly get together with your family for sad events like funerals. This was a time that, you know, a lot of married couples were in attendance, but my side, I can say, we normally just go to Justice of the Peace and, you know, then we get together after that. So that was fun. That was something to get on and popping. And, you know, if you wasn't there, sorry. But anyway, now that that's out the way, y'all know I want my pod to be positive and bring good vibes only. But also, since the last pod, there were very sad events that took place. Two in particular. One was a supermarket shooting where a lot of Black elders died. And then we also had an elementary school shooting in Texas. So wildly, I found that there's a mass shooting very often, like just about daily. We don't really hear about them, but, you know, mass shootings are real. Like, people are losing their minds. Some people just have no respect or, you know, care for other people's lives. And when things don't go their way, they just make everyone else pay. So, you know, that was very crazy. You know, rest in peace to the lives lost. It's a lot of things. Something else that is crazy to me. And, you know, like I said, I don't want to stay and discuss too much negative news because, you know, you can turn to, I'm sure, a lot of your social media pages and see that. But just things that I want to bring up that if you aren't familiar, that, you know, you can on your own time look into. But these people have overturned Roe versus Wade, which basically makes abortion illegal. The majority of the voters, of course, old white men with small dicks, I'm sure. And like, really, the way the world is, I'm really not surprised that it was overturned. There's a lot of laws that get snuck in to, stone, I guess, in this country, and they talk about the land of the free, my ass, because we ain't free to do much anymore. I mean, especially if you're black, if you're a black male, if you're a female, no matter black, white, it really doesn't matter. Gay, lesbian, trans. I mean, I won't get into the deep conversations of Roe v. Wade, but you can also definitely DM me at BklynTye NYC if you want to discuss it. I'm here for it. Like, this topic has really affected me, and I don't know if it's more so because I've had friends who have had abortions, or, my mother tried to force me to have an abortion when I got pregnant at 15. And, it just really should be an option. But if it's not an option, it should be a woman's choice, if that makes sense. Like, it's some bullshit. But, again, you can always DM me on Instagram and we can have a deeper dive into that conversation. But anyway, what else is going on? Let's see. Oh, Jennifer Hudson recently became an EGOT, which is amazing. My son will be an EGOT one day. And for those who don't know, an EGOT is basically someone who has won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award. So congrats to her. And a few days ago, I read somewhere, but not on a reliable source page, that her and Common were either spotted or possibly dating, but he's also an EGOT. So, like they say, birds of a feather flock together. So, that's possible. But I mean, to be honest, he has, he's somebody out there who gets around, if you say, where, if the shoe was on a other foot, if it was a female, like someone like Lori Harvey, who they, say that she's dated a lot of different men in the industry and whatever. But Common has dated a lot of females, celebrities, Hollywood, politics, comedians. Like, he dated Angela Rye, who is in politics, and he just broke up. His last relationship, I believe, was Tiffany Haddish, but he's also dated Serena Williams. So, like, he has great taste, but I'll keep y'all posted on that. Let's see how that goes. And if it's something worth mentioning, I'll bring it up in a future episode. So, that's really all I have for Ty Talks News. So let's move on.
What's up, y'all? This is Rashad Wright, Never Been Wrong, and you are tuned into What's the Word Brooklyn Podcast with BklynTye.
Let's get into what I am listening to. So I have been away from podding for a while, but while I've been away, I like to listen to other podcasts and kind of brush up on, seeing on ways that I can get better and improve with my podcast. So, like, one podcast that I listen to is Joe Budden. Now, these are men who talk about men stuff, but they also, I get a lot of great music artists that, albums that, of people who I've listened to before, maybe, but never really listened to the entire album, or maybe have heard one or two singles from them, but not an entire piece of work that they've done. So they let you, they put you on with that. Just also current events and conversations that they discuss coming from a male's perspective, I really like listening to. And just like the bullshit that men talk about. It's almost like when I used to chill in the barbershop sometimes when I used to wait for my son to get a haircut, and just like the conversations that men have compared to what women have in, say, like beauty salons, or like just in any time females get together, is very interesting. So, you ever get a chance, check Joe Budden podcast out. I also, because I'm a crime fanatic, I and just really just spreading love and, you know, any ways that I can help solve a crime, I guess. I do listen to Black Girl Gone. That's a dope podcast that has a lot of Black girls missing, women who have been missing, some recent, some for, you know, as long as 20 years, 20, 30 years, where, you know, their families are still trying to figure out whatever happened to them. So that's Black Girl Gone. I listen to that. And for those who know me, like in real life, y'all know Ratchet and Respectable is another podcast who is done by Demetria L. Lucas, someone who I look up to. Like, she's dope. She's an editor. She's a writer. She's been in this podcast game for a long time. She's written for Essence magazine. Just a dope podcast to check out, Ratchet and Respectable. She's actually moving to Ghana soon. And just in like listening to her prepare to leave, like she's been saying for a long time that she was getting out of America. Like, I'm out of here. She does go to Africa a lot, often. But she's like picking up and going for about 6 months to start and then see where she goes from there. And I think that's really cool. Like, I've never been in a position, and I really can't because I have kids, but she doesn't have any kids. So that's also too, like, I get to live some of her experiences through her, you know, single, carefree. I've never really wanted to just like up and leave America the way I have as of late. And to see her do it is amazing. So like in preparation, you know, she had to ship some stuff to her family and, you know, her parents' home, and then just, you know, shipping the car to another country. Just like doing, it's a lot to prepare, but I'm excited to listen to her experience in that. So, you know, check her out, Ratchet and Respectable with Demetria L. Lucas. And music-wise, I've been on my Anita Baker, like, to be honest, giving you the best that I've got. I've been playing, like, Just Because, which is one of my favorite songs from her. That's been on repeat. I've been, like, skating, and that's been the album of choice. I don't know. She's just been someone who she's been one of my biggest idols for all my life, you know, to be honest. I actually got to fly out to see her in Vegas. So I never got a chance to blog about it, but I will blog soon about it. So stay tuned for that. And also Glowshine, who is another friend of mine from Brooklyn to VA. She has an album that came out in 2018 called What the Water Gave. So that's always been like, that's something I play at least twice a week. That's something that is on shuffle in my music play. So, you know, Glowshine, GLOSHINE, What the Water Gave. That's available on iTunes, so you can pick that up. And you can also stream it, Spotify, or all the other, you know, apps and spots that you can stream music. I'm more of a buyer of music more than a streamer, so, you know. Anyway, so that's what I'm listening to, and let's see what else we have going on for this episode. So I like spending time watching movies, docuseries, and a few TV sitcoms and dramas. So let's get into what I'm watching. And basically, most of what I watch is watched on my phone because it's convenient. I don't have to wear my glasses because I can't see shit. So I can really like snuggle up in bed more comfortably if I have it being watched on my phone. And then plus, you know, you can move around. I can reply to texts or like post when I need to. And, so I basically have the apps on my phone. I have Netflix, which is one of my main watches. For some reason, my loyalty will not allow me to not have the subscription. But shout out to my daughter, Essence, who pays that bill for us. HBO, Hulu, and lately I've been on my BET Plus. So let's start there. BET Plus has some good black shows, a lot of Tyler Perry, but some of the shows and series are actually really good. A current one that I'm obsessed with right now is All the Queen's Men with Eva Marcel, who started her career after being on America's Next Top Model. She actually won season 3, and that was back in 2004. So since then, her career started going somewhere and moving around, and I never really caught her in different movies and such. I did see her appear in certain fashion shows and magazines, but in this show, All the Queen's Men, she stars alongside with, I think his name is Alvester Martin. But wait, let's get into her character right quick. So she goes by Madame, and she's the owner and operator of a male strip club. She has a nephew who's played by Alistair, who has just gotten out of prison. His name is Amp. And I first seen him actually in Sisters, which is also on BET Plus. He actually also dates KJ, who is the star of Sisters, by the way. They've only been dating for a little over a year. I think they're actually engaged now, but that's neither here nor there. But All the Queen's Men is something to really watch, catch up with. I just started with season 2, but I was able to catch season 1 first. And now currently every Wednesday, I believe, they drop 2 episodes. Now, I don't know if they do this on TV because, again, I watch it on my app. So Thursdays are the days or the nights and evenings that I have time to really catch up and watch things. So every Thursday, since the season started again, they've been dropping 2 episodes. So y'all really need to check that out. All the Queen's Men, BET Plus. That shit is dope. The choreography for the strippers, which you actually get a strip show per episode, maybe 1 or 2, but you're definitely going to get at least one routine that they show what they can show, I should say. And them actors are very sexy. So it just basically reminds me back in the days when I used to be a strip club fanatic. I used to go to a lot of strip shows, not clubs, but I would go to events that had strippers. And yeah, that was in my 20s. My 20s were good. My 20s were very good to me. But again, season 2 just started, so check that out. And what else am I watching? Oh. Also on BET Plus, Celebrity College Hill. Now, this show right here, I'm not really into reality TV, but this show is hilarious. Ray J is in it. Ray J is hilarious. His whole personality, he's just genuinely a funny person in real, he's just funny. I can't even explain it more than that. You're going to always be entertained when Ray J is on your screen, or, whether he's interviewing or in something like this. So College Hill, the celebrity issue, is also on BET Plus. That's where I'm watching it. It stars Ray J, Big Frida, Big Slim, Dream Doll, India Love, Lamar Odoms, Nene Leakes, and Stacey Dash. I don't want to really get into the details of it, so I do want y'all to watch it, and then once the season ends, I'm going to have a whole big conversation rundown about it. So basically go and watch that. And then, we can discuss periodically in the next few weeks. I'll be able to post and have conversations on my Instagram. So again, follow me, BklynTye NYC, and that'll be at a later time. So that's something else that I'm watching. And lastly, no, as a matter of fact, okay, let's move to Netflix. Netflix has Snoop Dogg comedy show. Snoop Dogg actually dropped a comedy show where he hosts and brings out a lot of comedy friends that he knows. It's called Fucking Around Comedy Special. And it has Cat Williams, Mike Epps, D-Ray Davis, Melanie Camacho, Guy Torrey, Donnell Rollins. Like, these are real legends. So this comedy special is pretty dope. So y'all need to check that out. And lastly, on HBO, I actually watched a documentary style movie. It was basically a movie, but based on true live events. The murder of Michael Peterson's wife. Now, I remember when this happened a few years ago, but the crime, being the crime buff that I am, like, I was intrigued with how the evidence was being displayed and coming out. But the movie basically shows she died from falling down the steps, or I should actually say, she was drunk and fell down the stairs, but evidence showed a whole different murder that happened. Like, nothing like on the crime scene was or looked to be like a drunk person that fell down the stairs, like with all the blood that was on the walls and the stairs, the way her body fell, certain injuries that were there or were not there. So that's something to watch. So check that out. It's called The Staircase. And yeah, that's what I'm watching.
What's good? It's your boy Ozzy Oz representing that We Get Hype show. Yo, I'm here with What's the Word with BklynTye. What's good? Let's get hype.
So usually I give y'all what I'm reading, but I haven't really been reading much because, lately with moving and working, it's just been a lot going on. But I will tell you that Janet Jackson is on the latest cover of Essence magazine for July, August. So pick that up. I also been reading My Daily Acts of Faith by Ayanna Vanzant. Like, that's a classic book. I've had it for many, many years, at least 20 years I've had this book, I believe. Actually, I did a blog on that, so check that out, www.BklynTyeNYC.com. Check my blog out on Acts of Faith. It was the anniversary of the book coming out, so check that out. And then basically I do like my affirmations. Like, today's strong affirmation that I have today is, today will be an amazing day. So that's basically what I'm reading. Stay tuned for books and magazines and blogs and things like that I'll be reading. But that's all I have for this episode as far as, the things that I'm reading and getting into. So before I get into my feature interview with Steph Love, I do want to get into a short segment that I call People I Think You Should Know. And today's People I Think You Should Know is Bodacious. He's a comedian, someone I admire in the comedian scene, or comedy scene, I should say. Because back when I lived in Virginia, again, this is like 10 years ago, he would do a free comedy show every Wednesday at Virginia Beach Funny Bone. And during that time, like, my kids were much younger. Money was funny. My marriage was trash. And yeah, these free comedy nights really saved my life. Real talk. Like, I would have nights where or days at work where I would just wait for Wednesday to come. Couldn't wait for Wednesday to come because that would be the day I would like just really laugh through the bullshit that was going on. And it was like time for me to have some me time because again, kids were smaller and I was doing like a lot of mothering and trying to keep my sanity when my world was basically falling apart. So y'all definitely have to check him out. Follow him on Twitter, Bo last name, which is BolastName. I also bought his comedy album on iTunes. It's called Truth Be Told. So be sure to check that out. Again, he goes by Bodacious, but on social media, it's Bo last name. Check him out. Tell him I sent you. And stay tuned for when he's back in VA. I'll definitely try to have an interview with... I actually was able to see him recently since I've been back in Virginia. I think that was April. He was at Virginia Beach Funny Bone. So I'll let y'all know when he's back in town or when he's doing something that may be local in your city and state. So stay tuned for that. And that's all I have for people I think you should know. Last but not least, without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Steph Love. She is one of my favorite people on the planet, on this God's green earth. Like, I love this girl with all my heart. She has been someone who has been like a real definition of who a friend is. Like, she'll check on me every now and again. Periodically, like, we'll text or we'll send DMs of a lot of funny things that we see on social media. She's also the person behind my blog, the creator of my website. Like, so she's a real true sister in my life, in my world. So check out the interview we had, and I'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, world? It's your girl, BK Medina, and I'm chilling with my girl, BklynTye, with What's the Word podcast. Check it out.
All right, so I've been excited and waiting to speak to my sis. And just a quick intro. She's a poet, a host, teaching artist, web designer, graphic designer. She's the magic and the creator behind my website, What's the Word, which is my blog and my website, actually. Stephanie Last, a.k.a. Steph Love. Welcome and thank you for being here to What's the Word.
Thank you for having me.
So I gave a little bit of your bio, who you are. What would you like the listeners to know about who is Steph Love?
Okay, so I'm Steph Love. I am a spoken word artist, teaching artist, as you mentioned, a slam poet, slam coordinator, or slam master for the Verb Slam team out of Norfolk, Virginia. Let's see what else. I'm a vinyl collector. I'm a cat lady. I'm a foodie. I'm a hip hop enthusiast, but all things poetry, all things web design. That's what I do. So.
All right, so you mentioned slam. What is slam? Because I know it has to do with poetry or some sort. What is actually slam?
All right, so slam poetry is the competition side of poetry. Traditionally, it is however many poets you can get to compete. So it's usually like, we'll just throw a number out. So it's, we'll say about 8 poets. There's 3 rounds. There is a time limit, 3 minutes with a 10-second grace period. And then, after that, there's usually like time penalties if you go over the time. You are judged by 5 randomly selected people from the audience. The low and the high score are dropped, and the middle 3 are added together to give you your score. The highest score wins pretty much. So that's like slam in a nutshell. And that's like what the standard slams would be like if you were to just kind of visit, around and whatnot. So,
and how long have you been doing slam?
Slam, I delved into, I would say 2016. I had been performing a lot, since 2009, but Slam was new. I did like team battles before then, like in like 2010, 2011, but never Slam, this like structured thing where you can go to like big tournaments and win money and stuff. Like,
and y'all travel, right? You go to different locations.
Mm-hmm. So there's definitely like slams all across the country. But there's a big competition that we've been going to, team competition, called Southern Fried Regional Poetry Slam. It's in a different city every year, but it's usually in the South. We just competed there back in June. We received 5th, which is a pretty big deal.
Congrats.
Thank you. Southern Fried is actually the last, or I don't want to say last, but it's the only team tournament left in the United States. So technically any of the teams that placed high, or if you just explaining your ranking from that competition, you follow it by in the nation. So technically, even though it's a regional tournament, we are 5th in the nation because it's the only team tournament in the nation right now. So
that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So,
and then you mentioned hip hop. So you and I met back, I want to say, well, basically we met through Fresh Radio. Mm-hmm. Fresh Radio has only been around since 2010. Mm-hmm. You and I met maybe through the Verbal Intercourse. I think I met most of the Freshians through the Verbal Intercourse chat, and then started coming to the Fresh Friday events or whatever. So that's when we met. Maybe like, I give it like 2011. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely before 2012.
Yeah.
But how long you been into hip hop? Like, what's your background with hip hop? What made you fall in love with hip hop?
Okay, so what made me fall in love with hip hop, I'm going to say my introduction to poetry. So being introduced to poetry in elementary school is when, I found hip hop. Like I knew hip hop existed, but I didn't really like start heavily listening to it until I was like 11. So it was 93. We're talking Wu-Tang's first album. A very young Steph Love. Listening to these, first of all, this amazing sound, but also this like these cool things that they're saying, rhyming together. And, it was just very intriguing, if I gotta be honest. From there, I was just collecting a ton of music. Like I used to spend my lunch money on buying cassettes. Like,
and just a quick sidebar. So on my page, on my Brooklyn Side NYC, one of my reels, I have you doing a whole Wu-Tang back in the Garden of Eden at Freshtopia. So y'all make sure to check that out. I'm definitely gonna add the link to this podcast episode for sure.
Was that with Ebony?
Yes.
Yeah.
When Ebony,
shout out to Ebony ATL.
DJ Ebony ATL was, yes, it was just on some random, I came into town to VA, still living in New York, and it was just like,
that was Fresh Radio's anniversary, I think. It was still during the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was like our first time seeing each other after COVID hit. And it was a dope time. Yeah. So, but why would you do rap and not, why would you do more so poetry as opposed to rap?
Well, with like poetry, like spoken word, it's more like a freer form. Whereas like, if you are going to be a lyricist or a rapper or whatever, you're on beat, and of course there's the different rappers that can like, that have these different flows that can be over any sort of beat. And it's still like times right. But, I don't know, I dabbled in writing some 16s. I just always loved poetry, like ever since I was introduced to it. So, so got introduced to the scene in 2009, and that's pretty much, up from there, still going. So
that's what's up. And I know you teach. Mm-hmm. So like when you say like teaching artists, what is that? Exactly.
So exactly how it sounds. So teaching artists, you're pretty much like teaching like a genre, right? So I'm a teaching artist with Arts for Learning, which is a Young Audiences of Virginia affiliate. Or I might have said that wrong. Either they just changed their name like a couple of years ago. So, but I teach poetry workshops with them. And this organization, they're a nonprofit organization that has been around for over 60 years. They have so many different artists. So that's, where the term teaching artists, comes into play. They have instrumentalists, all different types of musicians, singers, dancers, and they all teach something that goes into curriculum. So if you could imagine, some of their dancers teaches fractions, to their students and whatnot. And they're just all like workshop based or like after school program stuff. So I teach just poetic forms, depending on the age group that I get, because sometimes I'll get elementary school where I have to go simpler, like acrostic. Haiku is still a little bit difficult for them because of syllables when we're talking like third and fourth grader. Well, I would say about third graders. Couplet is easy because that's just rhyme words. They're introduced to that. Acrostic is, just the word down the page and then just a word for each letter or a sentence for each letter, however they want to write it. I just tell them, write whatever you want to write, but I give them the tools first, of course, when it's that young. And then sometimes I get to teach middle school. I have taught like high school age as well. It's very rare if I get to, though. But yeah, just it depends on the age group where I'll like pull from. So yeah.
What do you think you enjoy most? Like the poetry side of your life or like the graphic web designing side? If you could choose one or the other, especially with COVID happening and everybody like losing jobs and like really taking a step back to think about their career path on where they want to be on the other side of this pandemic. If you had to choose poetry or graphic, like web designing as like, this is what I want to do for a career. Which one would it be?
This is a really good question. This is the either or where I'm like, no,
it's
my
hard.
Libra brain is like,
you're so dope. Let me tell you, like, even with the website, better than anybody else, just like with Smiles, like, I do the episode and I'm like, here, take it, do it. Just like with you just building a website and I was like, look, this is how I want it. This is what I need. This is what I want. And I was like, here, you do it. And you mastered it.
Thank you.
To where like the graphic, everything was, and this is before I had the podcast. We had like just a link hub sitting there.
Yeah.
Because I was speaking it into existence. Like this podcast is coming because actually, my blog it came out tomorrow in 2017.
Oh wow!
So I have an anniversary.
Okay.
Hey,
happy anniversary!
So yeah, like you've been holding me down, and now I have the podcast, which makes a year next month. So like, yeah. Back to the question: which one would you decide, poetry or on the graphic, creative side of web designing?
Okay, so if I could. Oh my gosh. Okay. I am going to lean towards graphic and web, just because like poetry is a constant that both of them are a constant in my life that won't go anywhere. But web design is going to be more of the bread and butter, that's going to be more, not to say I can't earn similar income, being like a full-time performing artist. It's just that it's fewer and far between. The same with web design, like if you're a freelancing artist, like that does graphic design or web design, then like it's really the ebb and flow of business, like entrepreneurship is, in general. But I would just say, lead with web. Poetry ain't never gonna go nowhere, but yeah. That was a tough question.
Okay, you kind of answered it.
I genuinely did not answer.
I get it.
It's also my Libra brain was like, no, this cannot be right now.
We'll come back to that one day. One day I'll give y'all an update on which side. But before I let you go, not to put you on the spot. Can you recite something that you have off the top of your head to let my listeners know, like, how dope you are and why, like, you're one of my favorite people on the planet, like, forever.
Okay.
Like,
okay. Let's see. All right, I'll just do this one. I'll just do this one. Okay. So before I do this poem, so first of all, thank you for asking me to be on your podcast. But I also want to plug in that my slam team, for the last 3 years, we started doing a National Poetry Month writing prompt challenge in the month of April. So I say all that to say this poem is from that first year that we did it, because we started it, the COVID year, 2020, and it got a lot of good feedback, a lot of great poems and stuff. So this is that. The prompt was, what is your superpower? It's incredible how they will discredit you, but will marvel at the things you've done, doubt you along the way, watch you go Hulk when your Bruce Banner heart gets provoked to anger, putting you at war with the machine inside of yourself. It's low-key become a real thorn in my side, and my armor isn't made of iron. Man, they will push you into their own worldwide web of perspectives and try to hide the spiders. Man, guess they didn't know that most days I am Black Widow. No, I am Gamora. I am the most dangerous woman in the universe, but internally, I'm fighting an infinity war in my brain with no endgame, battling this depression and anxiety with hammer and sword, keeping myself busy like a Stark Enterprises assembly line until all that production stopped and quarantine made me see that I'm distancing me from me, drifting further away from healing, caught by an enemy with little to no energy to be heroic these days until I'm reminded that my superpowers be resilience, coming to my own aid because I needed to love and avenge her. Blocked BS from X-Men in the midst of a storm. My vision wasn't so clear then, but this old Cyclops can see now. I got a real Hawkeye with wings like a falcon, more like a dark phoenix, rising from this pile of ash when these these flames have tried to consume me. Some call this weakness, allowing the bad parts of your mind to control you, shape-shifting from superhuman to super introvert, going rogue, not wanting to be touched, scared they'll read what I'm thinking and leave me dead in a pool of my own misery, submerged in my own insecurities. It's the attack of the attacking things. I've worked with these genes to color in the grays. There have been hard days and good ones, and I'm not sure which days I'm human or mutant. This universe is strange, and I don't need a doctor to tell me that. But maybe I'll be more victorious in an alternate universe to save myself from falling victim to a Thanos snap. Thank you.
Hey, that's right. You heard it here first. That's what's up. I love it. And I know you have something coming up in August, which is in a few weeks. So let the listeners know what's going on with that.
All right. So, a bunch of things are coming up in August. So my slam team is starting our in-season. We got our season opener on August 3rd at the venue on 35th Street. Doors open at 6:30. It's $5. The slam usually starts at 7:30. It's hosted by Maddie Garcia this month. We're going to have the team hosting the entire season. So you're going to get a different team member every month. We are at the venue on 35th Street every first Wednesday. So even if you miss the season opener, that's okay. You can come through. We're going to be there up until January, until our last chance slam. And then our big Grand Slam finals will be, it'll be in February. Just location to be determined at this point because, that's our big event. So we gotta find a venue for that. So,
and you say 35th Street, that's in Norfolk, Virginia, right?
Yep. The venue on 35th Street, same street as Freshopia.
That's right.
So, also, starting August 5th, myself and Cassandra is Free. We will be hosting, an open mic every first Friday at 29th and Green in Hampton. It's free for now, but, it's from, doors open at 7. They have a happy hour from 6 to 8. We'll get the show started around 8 o'clock and, it'll just be a fun night. Me and Kaz always have fun when we do stuff together. So that's coming up. I'm waiting on Talk That Talk's next date. That's usually at Meal 1 in Hampton. We're usually every second Wednesday, but we're working out some things for next month. So I don't have a thing on that yet, or a date for that yet. But follow me on the social media so you can,
And what's that? What's your handle on social media?
All right. So Instagram is SL5. That's SLFIVE. And then Twitter is Steph_Love500. And that's Steph spelled STEPH. I'm Stephanie Lask on Facebook. Absolutely hate Facebook. SL5 on TikTok. I don't have much up there. Just a few poetry videos and like a random, a slideshow thing I put together. TikTok is hard. Shout out to the content creators.
Yes, because TikTok, let me tell you, TikTok is one of the most creative platforms, I think, because just to watch my daughter, Essence, shout out to you. She's on one of my season 1 episodes. Yeah, I've seen her. She literally just posted a video from the wedding that she's been posting for months, taking clips, getting to that video of like something about being a whatever place in like, your siblings and then like, whatever. I'll show it to you. But I'm like, it's too much for me. It's too much. It's too time consuming, and I would like lose my mind.
It's a lot.
It's hard to keep up. I can't even keep up with my stories. My stories be like 2 days behind. So.
But and I do have a website. I have 2 websites actually. SpokenWordBySteph.com. It hasn't been updated in a super long time, but if you want to check out any of my web design work, SL5designs.com. That's my portfolio site. So that's
cool.
That's it.
Well, I appreciate you for being here. I'm glad to be back in VA.
Yes,
we just came back from Our Shucks, which is our spot for some oyster shots.
Yep.
So I'm fulfilled right now. This was fun. And, good luck with everything. Now that I'm here, I'll be able to really come out and support.
Yeah.
And I'll be sharing all of your posts and information and stuff like that. So I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for listening.
What's up, everybody? This is Steph Love, and you are tuned in to What's the Word podcast with BklynTye.
And there you have it. Now, isn't she dope? Yo, check her out on social media at SL5, and that's SLFIVE. And her website again is spokenwordbysteph.com, as well as SL5designs.com. And that's really all I have for this episode 1 of season 2. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. Remember to tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this podcast. Follow me on social media at BklynTye NYC. And that's BklynTye NYC. And that's on Instagram and Twitter. You can find my blog and this podcast link on my website, www.BklynTye BklynTyeNYC.com. When you get there, subscribe to my newsletter so that you don't miss a blog or a podcast episode or just some random things, again, that I may have going on or that may be happening in your area. You can also shop my merchandise there. I have hoodies, double-sided tote bags, hats, mugs, everything. So if you want to support me and also be like, my walking billboard, especially for my podcast logo merchandise, go to www.BklynTyeNYC.com/shop and you can shop my merchandise there. Lastly, special shout out to Smiles, who is my podcast program everything from editor to producer. Follow him at SmilesTF1. Hit him up for all of your needs. He does really everything. Program director, producer, cinematography. Check him out. Follow him. Let him know I sent you. And that's it for this episode. And as always, spread love is the BklynTye way. Hey, it's BklynTye. at BklynTye NYC. And spread love. It's the BklynTye way.